You're looking at buying a new construction home here in the Boise, Treasure Valley area, and you want to know the pros and cons and everything you need to know before you pull the trigger on buying that new build. I just went through it myself, and I'm here to share with you my experience so you don't get caught making the same mistakes that a lot of people make when buying a new construction here in Treasure Valley, and we're getting after it right now. What is up, everyone? Curtis Chism here, and we're going to be getting after everything you need to know about buying new construction here in the Boise and Treasure Valley area, Meridian, Kuna, Nampa, Star, Eagle, so that you don't get caught making the same mistakes that a lot of people make because they just don't know what they're getting themselves into in buying a new construction home. There's a lot of benefits to buying new construction over resale, but there's drawbacks as well, and you need to know what those are. So we're going to cover everything so that you're well informed, you can make the best decision for yourself when buying new construction here in the Boise market. Real quick, again, my name is Curtis Chism with the Chism team. I moved here from California myself. Absolutely love it, and I'm so glad I did. And I love helping people relocate to the Boise and Treasure Valley area. That's what my team and I are set up to do. That's what we specialize in. We know the neighborhoods so you can drop in right exactly where you want to live based on your lifestyle. But you got to reach out to us so we know where to put you, what you're looking for, what your timeline is. So let's jump on a call. Shoot me a call, text, or email, and my team and I will get on a Zoom call with you, and we'll do a deep dive into what it's going to take to move you out here to beautiful Boise. And we're absolutely loving it, and we get calls all the time from people just like you looking to make the move. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days or even 2 years, drop us a line and let's get connected. Let's get into all the pros and cons of new construction here in the Treasure Valley area. So of course, first off, you've got Boise. Everyone thinks Boise when they're moving here, but frankly, a lot of people don't actually move to the city of Boise itself. Of course, Boise is the capital, the largest city here in Idaho, but a lot of people, especially when they're looking at new builds, are actually moving to the suburbs of Boise. So these are all individual cities surrounding Boise, such as Eagle, Star, Middleton, Caldwell, Nampa, Meridian, and Kuna. Those are the big areas that people are moving to, and that's where most of the new construction actually is, especially in a little bit in Eagle, but Star, Middleton, Nampa, Caldwell, and Kuna. Those are blowing up with new construction. Meridian's kind of built out, but you can still get it, and I'm talking brand new construction where you're buying from the builder. Now, there's a lot of homes you can get that are for resale that are only a couple years old because people have to move and relocate for various reasons. So you can still find fairly new construction that isn't exactly brand new build off the builder. And there's actually some benefits to going after that versus doing new construction. So we're going to dive into all those things right now. So let's get after some of the cons first, then we'll hit some of the pros, and then we'll hit some of those things right in the middle that could go either way depending on the situation. So the first one up is when you're buying new construction just right from a builder, they may or may not include landscaping and fencing in the contract. Now, oftentimes they are going to provide landscaping out front. They want the community to look beautiful. They want it to be consistent with the whole neighborhood. That's why they have the HOA. But they may not do landscaping in the back. Most likely they won't unless you're getting a fully customized home, or the builder allows you to do some upgrades along the way, such as landscaping. So if they don't provide fencing, the HOA is certainly going to require it. So that's going to be an extra cost that you're going to have to come up with. And sometimes the lower end builders won't provide that out of the gate, pun intended, but sometimes they will. Make sure you're looking out if they got fencing included. Do they have any landscaping? Most likely the backyard will not be landscaped. It will just be a scraped dirt lot in the back. And that leads into the next point, which is the land here is very, very hard. The soil here is very hard because these homes are getting built in farmland. So what they've done is they've gone and scraped that good top soil off because they need to get down to good soil so they can build a good foundation for the home so your house doesn't settle. But unfortunately, that strips all the nutrients out, all the bugs, all the good probiotics and bacteria that's in the soil, and it's just rock hard. So What happens is if you go and try to plant grass right on top of that, it's gonna die. You're gonna have all these brown spots is gonna be splotchy, and your grass is just gonna die. So unfortunately, you have to typically over excavate your soil and then bring in new soil on top for a topsoil so that your plants and grass can actually latch on and have the nutrients they need to grow and thrive and survive and to have a beautiful backyard. So that's an added expense just between landscaping, depending on what you want to do, and then having to excavate and add in new topsoil. And because it's so hard, you also are going to have the tendency for water to kind of just run off your property. Maybe if it's not sloped properly, which it should be away from your home, it can go into your home, into your crawl space. So you got to make sure that it's sloped away properly when you're doing your home inspection. But because you can have all this running water on top of your landscaping, it can then have a tendency to pool. And so that's the other thing you got to look out for, and most likely either the builder have them do it or you got to do it after the fact, is install a French drain. So a French drain is essentially a hole that's drilled or dug down through that hard top layer into the sand layer beneath that, and then that's filled up with coarse gravel, like 3/4 inch aggregate, and then a little area drain on top. And that allows the water to hit that drain, filter down through the gravel, and then hit the sand layer and escape from your property. So that's how you have to handle the hard topsoil on these new builds. So those are all things that you just may not be aware of when you're buying a new build. You know, you're looking at these model homes and they're all perfectly landscaped and beautiful, and then you actually have to come out of pocket for all this stuff, and this stuff you just may not have been aware of. The other thing too is some of these builds, especially again in the more tract home type builds, they're just gonna drop in a little 10 by 10 concrete patio for you. So you're gonna have a little 10 foot by 10 foot pad. When you walk out your patio, that's it, that's all you got, and you got your dirt lot. So I don't know about you, but I like to have much more concrete. You know, when you're entertaining, then you want to have nice concrete surface for people to walk around on, put your chairs, you know, your fire pit, all that kind of stuff. I got a solo stove I like to put outside, and I just like to have it on a nice concrete surface. That's usually an added expense too. If you want to add a lot of concrete, that's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars depending on how much concrete you want to actually put in. So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer that you got to look out for when buying new construction. And before we leave the exterior completely, let's talk about water. So real quick, you're gonna have an HOA and a new construction, and you wanna try to find out if that new build or the HOA includes water in your HOA fees. Now it's not gonna include your interior water, you know, your faucets, your drinking water, all that kind of stuff, showers, but oftentimes it can include exterior water for landscaping because they want you to keep your exterior beautiful. So you want to try to make sure that you've got that included. If they don't, that's a big con because it can get expensive. You can certainly spend hundreds of dollars a month keeping everything watered. But because they want the front landscape, sometimes even if they don't include complete exterior water, they will include front water. So they'll actually have water that's on a meter for the HOA just for the front, not for the back. So a trick that I've heard some people do is they'll just buy a long hose, like a 150-foot hose, tap into the water in the front. You got spigots out there, and run that to the back. Boom, now you've got your backyard watering covered by the HOA. Now let's head inside a little bit and take a look at a few things that you may not be aware of that are not going to be included. That's typically going to be your appliances. So you'll have a range, of course, but you won't have a refrigerator and you won't have a washer and dryer. So those are added expenses if you don't already have them that you're going to have to pick up. You know, that's not necessarily terrible. It gives you an opportunity to buy a brand new one and everything's nice and brand new, then you get to select exactly what you want. But, you know, a lot of resale homes, oftentimes that's included. So, you know, if you're looking, it's just another extra expense that you may not have been looking for. The other thing interior-wise is blinds. So you're gonna have no interior blinds typically. Now again, on these custom homes, you can add that in, but your typical tract homes, spec homes, even semi-custom homes, you're typically going to have to buy your own blinds. So again, you get to select what you want, but be prepared to shell out $1,500 to $5,000 depending on the level of blind quality that you're looking for. Another kind of odd thing that I've noticed in a lot of the kind of lower end builders versus the custom home is they have these vents that are installed in between the hallway and the bedrooms. So what that is, it's above the doorway, and what it is it's actually a return air vent for the air conditioning and heating system. So instead of installing a return air vent in every single room, it's basically like a lazy man's way or a cheap way of installing a return air system. So heating and air conditioning needs supply air and it needs return air in order to function properly. So what you often see is a return air in the main living areas and the master bedroom, but you won't see it in the other bedrooms and the laundry room. So you have this hole with a vent that's just a pass through. And what it is that's allowing the system to balance, and they don't have to install ductwork specifically for each room with a return air. So it's a much cheaper way, but obviously now you've got this kind of unsightly vent, but more importantly, it allows sound, much more sound to pass through the walls. So, you know, if you're like me and I've got kids and they got to take naps and, you know, you just have a lot more sound that's traveling through the house. And if you go ahead and block them up, it messes up the balance of the system and you're going to have inconsistent heating and cooling. So a room might be colder or hotter than the rest of the home, depending on the time of year and how that system is functioning. Now, overall, what you're going to find too in these homes is that, especially if you're buying from a home builder like CBH, HUBBLE Home, or Hayden, you're really not going to have a whole lot of opportunities to upgrade the home. Now, you might, especially if the home has not been built yet. So it's a future build home or a to-be built home, or as they call it, a pre-sold home, meaning they haven't built it yet. They call it a pre-sold home. You can have more opportunities to upgrade your home. So selecting countertops, selecting carpets and flooring, that kind of thing, maybe doing your landscaping. But generally speaking, you're not going to have a lot of upgrade options. So you're kind of stuck with what they're going to give you. And that can be okay, but you can't upgrade. And I will say, if they do allow you to upgrade, it gets really costly. So a friend of mine, he just bought a HUBBLE home. His first one was a spec house, no upgrades allowed at all. His second one was a pre-sold home. He kept his first one, he's renting it out. He loves the HUBBLE homes. And he did a lot of upgrades, but that caused a lot more expense and a lot more delays in order to get all those upgrades done. And what you're gonna get in a lot of these homes is pretty basic as far as the type of building materials. And I'm gonna dive into that a little bit more when I get into the CBH and HUBBLE homes, so we can dive in a little bit more about that, because people wanna know, why are those so cheap? And I'm gonna cover that coming up here in just a minute. So stay tuned for that, and we're gonna cover exactly why that is. And there's some really good reasons why they're cheap, and it's obvious once you see it. Now, the last thing to keep in mind is not really a con per se, it's just something you need to be aware of, is that these homes, because they're brand new, they do off gas, especially inside. They've been closed up and they've got materials in there like the carpet, the paint, the LVP flooring, any sort of glues that might be in the Formica countertops or the carpets. Those are gonna off gas. And so those are the VOCs that are escaping. It's normal, but the house might smell, plus it's just exposing yourself to more chemicals. So, you know, because these homes have been closed up for a while, what you want to do is open the house up, open all the windows, put some fans in there and air it out for a day or two. You can even run some diffusers with like eucalyptus and lemon. That's going to help to absorb that and dissipate that. So just keep that in mind. These homes do off gas. That's normal. And just, you know, open it up and you'll be good. Now, these last couple cons are more about the contract than they are about the actual home. So the first thing you need to know is that most likely, if the home does not appraise at the purchase price, then the way that these contracts are typically written are that you have to come out of pocket for the difference. You're not using the standard Idaho real estate offer contract, you're using the builder's contract. So we can negotiate that stuff up front and try to clarify it, but sometimes that can happen. Now, right now, or the way the market is with balancing out, that's really not an issue, but that was kind of more of an issue before when the market was rapidly appreciating. But anyway, you just got to be aware of that potentially you could be on the hook for the difference in the appraised value and the purchase price. But right now, the balancing market is not such a big deal, but you need to watch out for that. The other thing too is it's difficult to pull out of these contracts. So they will require an earnest money deposit. So that's like an initial deposit to secure the home. And oftentimes it can actually not be a whole lot of money. Like when I bought my home from HUBBLE, it was only $2,000. Now, however, if you want to pull out, what they get you for is liquidated damages. So liquidated damages has nothing to do with water or water damage. It is just a contract term that's called liquidated damages. That is basically saying for you harming the other party by pulling out, you're required to pay them damages, a fee, in order to pull out on top of your earnest money deposit. So you're gonna lose your earnest money deposit most likely, because these homes, these contracts are written in such a way you don't have financing contingency. Now, with the changing market, this could change as well, but this is how it's been for a while here in Idaho. And so you're gonna lose your earnest money deposit, which could be a few $1,000s, and then they're gonna hit you for liquidated damages. And that could vary, but for instance, the HUBBLE contract is written with a $5,000 liquidated damages. So you might be in for $2,000 to $5,000 earnest money deposit, and then get hit with liquidated damage on top of that at $5,000 if you decide to pull out for whatever reason, because you couldn't get your loan, you didn't appraise, and you don't want to pay the difference, or you decided you don't want that home anymore and you want to go buy another home. Then they can come after you for that. Now, it does go to arbitration. It's a whole process and thing, but potentially you could lose $7,000 to $10,000 because of the way that these contracts are written. Let's get into the pros of buying a new home. So we just covered the cons and just things you need to look out for, but let's dive into the real pros of why people buy new construction homes. So the first thing that was a big importance for me in terms of just planning to move here, I'm a big time planner, I want to know everything down to the last detail, is the scheduling of your move. So because you can purchase a home in advance before it's completed, you can actually schedule when you plan to move. So I scheduled my move about 4 or 5 months before I moved out here, and I knew that within a short time window that I would be able to move into my house. Now, there are delays that occur, especially with all the supply chain issues we've been having, but in my case, it actually was delivered on time within that window. So when we first went under contract, they gave me a 1 month window, and then when we actually signed all the paperwork, it had shifted a week out. So I just got an Airbnb for 7 weeks. I got up here early, got to know the area, and I gave myself a couple extra weeks on the back end so that I could have time to allow them to have some delays and then get myself moved in. So I really like that from a scheduling standpoint, assuming the builder is able to meet their schedule. Now, what they told me, which ended up being true, is that once they got countertops installed, they knew exactly when they'd be able to complete the build. So that was the big driving point for them, because counterpoints are a very long lead item. It can take months to get them. So once they're on site and installed, they know that like clockwork, everything else is gonna go. So that's something to keep in mind, is the scheduling aspect. I love that from a planning perspective. Now, the other thing, of course, is you're buying a brand new home. No one's ever lived in it. The systems are brand new. Your air conditioning, your furnaces, your roof, your flooring, there's no wear and tear on it yet. So it has a long, long life. You're not gonna have a lot of unanticipated costs. You have a low maintenance because of that. And so you can really budget a lot better in terms of your ongoing maintenance costs. Now, of course, you need to save money for when those things do ultimately break, but you've got 10, 15 years on that air conditioning and furnace, at least your water heater, maybe even more, 20 to 30 on your roof, your flooring, depending on when you want to replace it. You've got years on that. So I really love the fact that it's like a brand new car, right? Like, I like to buy a brand new car because I know I will take care of it. I know how to maintain my car, and I want a brand new car, so I know exactly what has been involved with that vehicle. And it's kind of like that with a house. You're getting the same thing. It's a brand new car, brand new house that no one's lived in, no one's messed with it. You're gonna maintain it properly. You don't know what that other person did. They probably did not maintain their air conditioner and heater properly. So I really love that from getting a brand new house, low maintenance cost because of the systems that are brand new. So that is a big, big reason why people like to buy a new construction home. And now, related to that, you've got your warranty that a builder is gonna offer. Now, every builder is gonna offer a different type of warranty, so you gotta check exactly what that is. But HUBBLE, for instance, they're gonna offer a 1-year warranty on materials and workmanship and the major systems. I wish they would offer longer, frankly, but that's what they do. But they do offer a 6-year warranty on the structural components of the home. So your house ain't gonna fall down, they're gonna warranty that. That's great. CBH also offers a really fantastic warranty as well. And all the builders have a warranty. So you get that peace of mind that if something's gonna break in the first year or maybe for several years, it's gonna get fixed. Now, because these homes are brand new, they're also designed with modern aesthetics and layouts. So you've got big, wide open floor plans, a lot of windows, a lot of light. The homes aren't all chopped up, they're not dark. and they're large. People want larger homes these days, let's face it. So that's a really big aspect to getting these new modern homes, is you have these beautiful layouts and floor plans, and they're also move-in ready. Now, again, you might have bought them in advance, so it might be 4 or 5 months, but once it's delivered to you, it's move-in ready. Or the home might be complete and you can just go buy it and move in, as soon as escrow closes. So that's an awesome feature of buying these new construction homes. You don't have to wait for someone to move out and then they bang up the walls with all their furniture and you got to go fix it all when it's done. It's just move-in ready. It's a blank slate. That's the other big thing, is you're getting a blank slate of a home to do with it what you want. So you got neutral colors, and you can paint the walls, the bright, crazy colors you want to do if you're into that. But you can do whatever you want with the home, and you can make any changes to it as well. Of course, you got the landscaping I talked about that unfortunately isn't going to be done, but you can do with it exactly what you want and design your dream backyard. And you're also getting energy efficient homes. These homes that are being built right now are super energy efficient. So that's going to drive down your heating and air conditioning costs and just keep you more comfortable overall. And a lot of the homes also now are smart homes where you can control the lighting and the air conditioning, the heating remotely as well, or put them on timers. So that's an awesome feature for a lot of new builds as well. And then you've got with the newer communities as well, they're just beautifully designed and laid out. And depending on what community you're going into, they're going to have modern community rooms, beautiful pools, clubhouses, tennis courts, big playgrounds, that kind of thing that's you're paying for through your HOA, but they're just modern and brand new and nicely designed. So those are features you're going to get in these brand new construction homes. And finally, they also are a great option if you're getting locked into bidding wars in a rapidly appreciating hot sellers market. The new construction homes are first come, first serve. So oftentimes you can get in without having to get into a bidding war. In fact, that's actually why I ended up doing it, because I just didn't want to deal with it. And we just went ahead and bought one off the shelf, so to speak, and we were quite happy with it. Now, that may not be for you, and in a declining market, we're in a shifting market right now, so that's not really the case right now, where as far as the bidding wars. So you do have more options on the resale side, but if you are in a very hot seller's market, then no bidding wars is a great way to go with a new construction home. Now we'll look at a couple things that could go either way, depending on how you look at things, but the first thing up is that these are not established neighborhoods. So the trees, you're really gonna notice this when you drive through established neighborhoods that have been there for 15, 20, 40 years. You're gonna have very large trees. You're gonna have tree-lined streets, so they're nice and green in the spring and summer, and then you got the changing fall leaves in the fall, and then of course they're dead in the winter. But in the new construction communities, you're gonna have a lot of very small trees that were just planted, and it's gonna take a while for those to grow up. It's gonna take 10, 15, 20 years to grow into that established neighborhood. So unfortunately, you're not gonna have beautiful tree-lined streets. You're gonna have a whole bunch of houses with little tiny trees in front of them. Now, I guess the advantage to that is you have fewer leaves to deal with, that you don't have to sweep up as much to gotta do it. You're gonna have tons of leaves. You're not gonna have pollen from the trees or sap dripping off the trees. When I first moved here in the Airbnb I was in, I had this tree that I had to park under. I had two trees actually. One was loaded with sap that just constantly dripped all over my truck. And then the other side was dripping like these little, it wasn't a pine tree, but it was just drip these little balls, these little pine cone type things all over my truck. And then they would stick to it because it'd have the sap from the other tree. I'd drive down the freeway and these little pine things would just sit on my truck and they wouldn't come off. They knocked off easily, but I had to wash my truck every few days just because it got so dirty from all the sap and pollen that would just fall all over my truck. So that's kind of a bummer, but you're not gonna have that in new construction homes because the trees are not nearly as grown out. Now, the other thing that could go either way is if you're buying in a seller's market or in a shifting / buyer's market. So if you purchase in a seller's market where the market is appreciating rapidly, and you lock in a price down here, but the market's appreciating and all of a sudden it's up here at a higher price, by the time you purchase, you have built-in equity right there, right? If you buy at 500,000 and the market goes to 600, you have $100,000 of equity. Now it can work in reverse, of course. If you purchase here and then the market goes down, now you're kind of underwater right out of the gate. And this goes back to potentially losing earnest money deposits, liquidated damages, if you choose to pull out. Now, that being said, right now when I'm filming this, we are certainly in a shifting market. Housing prices are dropping actually right now. I chose to buy in that market. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but here's why I decided to buy, and then I'll get into some benefits of this too. But I looked at it as, would I be happy buying this house in 10 years? Would I look back 10 years from now and say, I'm happy that I bought that house? And I said yes. I believe in real estate as a long-term wealth building strategy, and I believe in real estate. So I do believe that in 10 years, I would look back, even if my house dropped in value, I know it's gonna come up and rise in value overall, and I don't plan on selling this house. I'm just gonna rent it out and keep building wealth that way, and buy another home, and so on and so forth. So that is a great long-term wealth building strategy. So I don't really care so much that it's gonna go down. Of course, I'm gonna hedge my bets, and I negotiated a pretty sizable price reduction and the credit as well in order to compensate for that, and made me feel much more comfortable about buying in a softening market. And that's the thing right now. Builders are actually offering some price reductions, but the big thing are credits. I mean, Toll Brothers right now, they've got a promotion where they're offering interest rates at around 4% on a 30-year conventional mortgage. And you've got HUBBLE that's offering $20,000 move-in credits on to-be-built homes. CBH is offering between $20,000 to $30,000 in credits as well. So they're playing ball. They understand what's going on. They want to sell these homes. They don't want to get stuck with them. So there's certainly a buyer's market going on right now. I wouldn't call it a full-blown buyer's market, but it's certainly there. So you're going to be able to negotiate some good credits right out of the gate. Now, you're not going to negotiate price reductions. The builders do kind of set their prices, and that's what it is until they drop them. So that's just kind of how it works. Either they raise them in an appreciating market or they drop. They don't really negotiate. They will negotiate over credits, but a lot of times they have these kind of standard programs. They're like, well, you can get this with this credit. Do you want it or not? So that's kind of how the negotiations tend to go with the builders. The other factor to keep in mind too, when you are buying new construction and you're buying 6 months in advance, is you have to rate lock your mortgage rate. Now, again, builders are offering discounts right now on that. They're offering long-term rate locks. Like I mentioned, Toll Brothers, they're offering a long-term rate lock for free. But if they're not offering that, or if the market is a stronger market, you're gonna have to pay a rate lock fee to rate lock. So I was able to rate lock for 5 months at, I think it cost me like $2,500. So it wasn't bad at all. And that got actually applied to the down payment as well, to the closing costs. So, so there might be some upfront costs that you might lose if you back out, but you do have to factor in getting a rate lock. So you locked in your rate so it doesn't go up over time. Let's dive into a few just kind of things you should be aware of when you're buying a new home as well, is the importance of getting an inspection. Now, some of these builders, it might kind of discourage you from getting an inspection. In fact, if you go on like CBH's website, there's a document there that says, hey, before you spend $500 on an inspection and waste your money, we want to make sure we tell you all the things that we do in order to prep the home and sell it. And we've pre-inspected it, and here's what we'll fix and here's what we won't fix. So they're going to try to scare you off from doing it. HUBBLE Homes, for instance, they don't come out and say that, but they say if you get a third-party inspection then ask for repairs, it might delay the closing date. So they kind of try to throw you off, like, oh, I just want to close on time and I want to get in my home, so I'll just skip the inspection. Don't do that. It's so important to have a third-party inspector come in to look at the home. They're going to go through everything and find out if the builder actually built this home correctly. The inspectors here know how to inspect new construction homes and what to look for. So for instance, on the home that I am buying, we found some structural items. There was actually a gusset plate in the roof truss framing that was missing, and one of the framing members was popping out. This is a brand new home. We also found mold in the crawl space. We found a little bit of black mold on a couple members, and that kind of worried me. My daughter, actually, we've been going through basically detoxing her of mold because she had mold exposure in a prior home that we were in. And so we're like, oh gosh, mold, what's going on? So, it is very easily treatable. It was a small amount of mold. So the builder came in and did a remediation to get rid of it. What happened is that basically, before they actually closed it up, obviously some moisture got in there, and this is a conditioned crawl space. There's no ventilation, and it's kind of weird how it works, but it draws in air from the house and then ventilates it out to condition the home. So it's using air from the house to condition. It helps with energy efficiency. But anyway, we found mold, and so they just didn't air it out properly before they completely sealed up that crawl space. And then also we found the furnace wasn't working. I mean, it's a brand new home and the furnace wouldn't kick on. So we got the AC to kick on, furnace. But the builder's good for it and they fixed it all, of course. But these are things, if you didn't do a home inspection, you'd be stuck with. You never know. So that $500 you're saving could cost you tens of thousands of dollars down the road. Now, as we dive into the different types of new construction homes that are available in the different communities, it's important first to keep in mind that what is shown on the MLS, meaning Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all these portals, it actually may not actually be what is truly there. So these builders like to just leave homes on the market that are actually already under contract. They're lead magnets. They're ways to get consumers' information to bring them into them directly so that they can sell them a home direct. So a lot of times that home's not actually available, but they oftentimes have many more homes that actually are. So they kind of pick basically model homes, like, hey, these are indicative of a bunch of different homes we have. That home might be under contract, but we've got these ones over here that are very similar, and there's 5 of them available. Which one do you want? Now, that's why it's so important to work with an agent who's staying in touch with the builders regularly to get updated lists to find out what actually is available, so you don't get your chain jerked around that much. So let's dive into the types of communities that are available here. So you basically have a range of homes. You've got your tract home homes. So these are going to be kind of your more basic entry-level type homes. Those could have true starter homes that might be 13 to 1,500 square feet, single story, and then ranging to 2,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, kind of still starter home. They're not going to have an extra living room upstairs. So still kind of on the starter home, to the larger move-up homes for larger families that are in the 2,500 to 3,000 square foot range. You're going to find all these within these tract home developments. So these are going to be built primarily by CBH, Hubble Homes, and Hayden Homes. And CBH is by far the major builder. They've been around for about 30 years now, and they have built many of the homes here in the Treasure Valley. So most likely, when you're going into a home in this price range, in this starter home, tract home price range, is probably going to be a CBH home. Or if it's on the newer side, newer construction, then it potentially could be Hubble or Hayden. Now, they are more affordable homes. So these homes are going to range in price anywhere from about $400,000 to $600,000. Now, why is that? So, one reason, of course, is that they're smaller lots. So you're going to have nice size home, but a smaller lot. You're going to have about 7,000 to 10,000 square feet. Now, 10,000 is not bad. You get a fair amount of room. Even 8,000 isn't bad. You're just going to have a pretty big backyard, but you're certainly not going to be into the half-acre type homes. So you're going to have smaller lots. The communities themselves are going to have fewer green spaces. They're going to have less amenities. They may not have a community pool. They may not have a clubhouse. They may have a smaller playground. A lot of them still have playgrounds for the kids, but you're just not going to have as many amenities as well. The other big thing too with these homes is, frankly, they're just built more cheaply. So they're going to use building materials and methods that are going to save them money, right? So it's like what I talked about before, those return air plenums for the air conditioning unit. They're not going to install the ductwork all the way, for each return. So that's cheaper, but now you've got more, sound issues in your home, which is a pain. So these are definitely, in a lot of the CBH and the Hubble homes, you're going to find that. They're also going to use as cheap as possible of building materials as well. So your carpet is going to be pretty cheap. Like our house we bought, I was really disappointed actually in the carpet selection. It was really bad. It's some of the cheapest carpet. My wife's father is a floor covering contractor back in California. He was, not any longer. And so my wife has worked a lot with him installing flooring. And she was like, this is the worst carpet I've ever seen. We've never installed something this cheap. Like we would never put that in. So that's a disappointment. It's going to wear out quickly. Also the countertops, CBH in particular, you're going to get laminate countertops everywhere, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. It's going to be laminate Formica, basically everywhere. Hubble homes, you're probably going to get solid surface, potentially granite or manufactured stone in the kitchens, but you're going to get laminate in the bathrooms as well. So they're going to use cheaper materials to cut costs in order to make these homes cheaper. So that's the fact. They are cheaper homes, and that's reflected in the purchase price. Now, as we move into these more planned developments that might be a single developer that then piece it out to individual builders. So they have an approved list of builders that can build in these communities, and these are going to be not tract homes. They could be a spec home where the builder's like, this is the home that I'm building, and then they kind of speculate on selling it to you that you're going to like that. But typically they're going to be semi-custom homes or potentially fully custom homes. And so that's where you can get in and actually design what you really want. So a semi-custom home, it might already have a set floor plan, but they're going to allow you to come in and maybe change the front elevation or change the type of finishes that you're going to want. So like, hey, I want quartz countertops all throughout the home, or in the kitchen, I want quartz, and then I want granite in the bathrooms. I want this type of flooring. I want a really nice Berber carpet. So you can have a lot more options there as well, and you can design your landscaping, or you can get into the full-blown custom homes as well, where you're designing everything. You're designing the floor plan and everything. Now, those are going to be very intensive. You're going to have so many selections. It's going to take a while to design and ultimately build that, of course, versus a semi-custom or a tract home development. And you're going to be spending a lot more money for that as well, because you're going to be getting into all these custom finishes. So those homes tend to be more in that 800,000 million plus price range. But also what's really cool is a lot of these are going to come with those RV bays or big workshops. I think that's a great option for a lot of people. It's a great product. And you're going to find those especially in areas like Caldwell, Nampa, Middleton, and Star, and a little bit in Eagle. But those are really where you're going to find those for the most part. Now, of course, if you're building a fully custom home, and anywhere, of course, you can build that. The other option too is a single builder. So a great example of this is Toll Brothers. They have a number of communities here in the Treasure Valley. So this is a single builder that is the developer and the builder, and they're controlling the whole entire process, start to finish, with them as the builder. Now, these are going to be a combination of kind of tract homes and semi-custom homes. You're not going to get custom homes with them, but they do a fantastic job of delivering a great product, but you are going to be paying a bit more. So an equivalent home that's a Toll Brothers home versus a CBH home, you're probably going to be spending a couple $100,000 more, but the quality is going to be a little bit better. Your finishes are going to be better. You're just getting a better product overall. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the builder is going to try to get you to work directly with them, because it saves them money, because they don't have to pay us to help represent you to buy that house. And the thing is things come up that you want someone in your corner to help navigate the process for you, handle the contracts, handle the negotiations, handle the appraisals, handle the inspections, handle all the emotions that come along with buying a home. Do you really want to be working directly with a seller to do that? And they're only looking out for themselves. That's what's happening here. So you're not saving any money by working with a builder. They're saving the money, and they're probably screwing you on the back end, and you just don't know it, because they're looking out for themselves. So that's the thing. We work with people all the time that are relocating to the Treasure Valley, and we absolutely love it. And we need to talk to you so that we can figure out what your lifestyle is. Where do you want to live? Do you want to live out in the country, out in Middleton or in Star? Or do you want to live in right next to the Greenbelt in Eagle, so you can get easy access to the river? Or maybe in Meridian, same thing, easy access to the river, more central, more built out. Or you're looking for that slower pace of life in the country in, say, Nampa, and you're okay with driving a little bit further, and just depending on what you're looking for. So you got to reach out to us so that we can have that conversation with you, so we can help you move here. We absolutely love helping people relocate to Treasure Valley, just like I myself moved from California, and I absolutely love living in beautiful, free Idaho. So reach out to us if you're looking to buy a new construction home and you want to work with someone that has gone through the process. Myself, my team goes through this process every single day, helping people buy and sell here in the Treasure Valley. And we'll see you on the next video.